It is easy to think of the ancient people as dirty, filthy scum that cared little about their personal hygiene. But that is surprisingly far from accurate. So let's dive in. But before we do, I want you to note the number of ancient civilizations I cover and write it in the comments section below. We begin with hygiene in ancient Egypt. Today, our news feed, especially from major news outlets, fills our screens with pictures of poor people looking dirty and unkept. Thus, we easily assume that has always been the case since time immemorial. But history reveals the opposite. The ancient Egyptians had a penchant for the extraordinary, and that included taking care of their bodies. For them, life was one big party, and what better way to celebrate it than to always be clean and neat? They shaved their hair, bathed daily, used cosmetics to enhance their looks, and topped it off with perfumes that you could smell miles away. However, it didn't end there. Existing records indicate that the ancient Egyptians used breath mints so they wouldn't choke each other with bad breath. Now it appears that they had better hygienic practices than the average American, so I dug deeper to find out why. And here's their secret. According to the Egyptian Book of the Dead, anyone with poor hygiene lost their voice in the afterlife. They couldn't communicate with other souls, not even through sign language, which makes sense. Imagine the stench that would emanate from the breath of a soul who refused breath mints their entire lives. That odor would crush any spirit. Now, on to a lesser-known but sophisticated ancient civilization, the Indus Valley. This South Asian civilization is not as famous for its personal hygiene as it is for its public health. They built extensive and intricate sewage systems that ensured that human waste products, such as poo and urine, were disposed out of town. They also doused themselves in public and private baths, depending on their choice, and scraped filth off their backs. Courtyard houses were fitted with bathing platforms and a dedicated one-hole toilet facility, which was a far cry from today's WC toilet, but still did the job perfectly. After one went to the loo, they flushed the poo away by pouring water down the hole through a shared brick pipe into a nearby cesspit. The weirdest part of the system was watching your poo take a long slide down the brick pipe, sort of like being on a helter-skelter. No, not that helter-skelter. This one. Sadly, I know a few weird friends who enjoyed this stomach-churning spectacle. So can we comfortably call the Indus Valley sanitation system the predecessor to our modern sewage system? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. While you're at it, let me regale you with the personal and public hygiene practices of the ancient Romans. Ancient Rome is famous for its large aqueducts that were carefully designed to supply water to the city and flush waste through the sewage system. Thus, the city was rid of all the smelly human hazardous waste that would have made it a living hell. Even on the battlefield, soldiers were provided with latrines and bathhouses, but I can't tell you if they took a shower before or after every battle. I'd rather leave that to your imagination. Away from the battlefield, public baths were scattered across the city, with the Romans plunging themselves every now and then into warm waters to rid themselves of filth. Records indicate that the largest bath could hold up to 3,000 people, but that came with its own set of health concerns. These public baths were notorious for breeding lice, intestinal worms, fungi, and bacteria. Now, don't get me wrong, in principle, the Romans had high hygienic standards, which was reflected in their extensive drainage systems. But in practice, their sanitation left much to be desired. For example, bathhouses didn't change the bathwater regularly and rarely used disinfectants. Thus, the majority of people who utilized them suffered one infection or another. To prevent the infestation of lice, ancient Romans shaved regularly and also applied scented oils to improve their skin and appearance. And to keep their breath fresh, they used powdered mouse brains as toothpaste. Ugh. Well, that's enough to make even Mickey Mouse squirm a bit. I seriously doubt that's a delicacy available today at Disneyland. And I'm just curious how they convinced the kids to brush their teeth. So I'm not too sure of its efficacy. However, you can try it and let us know how it goes. We'd appreciate it. The ancient Romans had issues with following their strict hygienic principles, but the Chinese obeyed theirs religiously. I mean, these people could literally wash their hands 5 times a day, as stipulated in their books. Bathhouses and bathrooms were a luxury for the super rich, so the average Chinese took their baths every 5th day and washed their hair every 3rd day. However, exceptions were made for visitors as they were required to take baths before sitting down to a warm meal. As the years went by, the ancient Chinese discovered bath beans, which added extra levels of luxury and comfort to their bath routines. These beans were made from natural herbs, flowers, and essential oils that filled the air with sweet-smelling fragrances. I know you would be wondering if modern bath beans were similar to ancient ones. Well, the answer is yes and no. You see, the ancient Chinese bath beans were made from natural herbs and oils, while the modern ones are usually made from synthetic products. But they all perform the same function, providing a luxurious bathing experience. So material-wise, they are different, but functionally, they are the same. Regardless, Calgon, take me away. The ancient Greeks, on the other hand, did a relatively good job of personal and public hygiene. Being a deeply religious civilization, the Greeks dedicated a goddess to cleanliness known as Hygeia. And yes, you guessed right, the word hygiene descended from the goddess. For subbing correctly, I promise another intriguing video. So stay tuned. Many modern scholars attribute current hygienic standards to ancient Greece because of its adherence to strict hygienic practices. In fact, the Greeks saw it as essential to maintaining good health and well-being. Like the Romans, the Greeks loved their public baths and had a variety of them: hot springs, steam baths, and bathtubs. They often used olive oils as soap in combination with a small curved blade to scrape off the dirt on their bodies. According to some historians, the Greeks were among the first to invent the modern toilet, where you sit comfortably and attend to nature's call. The seat was made of wood over a clay bowl, and the poo was flushed with water down a stone sewage system. Once the deed was done, they wiped themselves with pieces of pebble or ceramic pottery. Now let me tell you a funny story. During a recent excavation of the ancient town of Minoa, archaeologists found some of these pebbles with names written on them. They concluded that those who used them might have written the names of their enemies on the pebbles before wiping their bottom. That's one way to punish your haters. So guys, you know what to do the next time an online bully unleashes unprovoked insults under your social media posts or comments. Or you can order toilet paper with a printed photo of the enemy. I'm sure you'll find it on Amazon. This baffles me. How did they come up with the mouse brain idea? I'm still trying to figure that one out. But just so you know, cleanliness has been a core part of us since the beginning of time. Check out some of the world's oldest religions and you'll find hygiene as a core part of their worship. Take, for example, Islam. At the heart of this Abrahamic faith is the call to both outer and inner cleanliness, which is why water is a key part of the religion. Muslims are instructed to pray 5 times a day, but before each prayer is a physical cleansing process called ablution, which also has spiritual connotations. Thus, they wash themselves 5 times a day and each time after visiting the toilet. They always remember to wash themselves before and after satisfying their carnal desires, and after touching anything their religion describes as unclean. Interestingly, this has had a positive impact on Islamic societies, as they are usually clean and free of dirt, far from the filth that has engulfed some major cities across the globe. Now, do you remember the challenge to note the number of ancient civilizations I covered? You can write them down in the comment box. A little hint, you may be wrong by 200. Have fun. When you're done, check out this video on dirty secrets of ancient beauty, and I'll see you there. And until next time, thanks ever so much for watching.